Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for another edition of Wrestling Talks and Talk. I am your host, Saheem the Dream. If you guys are catching us live on Facebook, please share, like, comment, join in on the conversation. We just got finished watching SmackDown. We are here to talk to you guys. Sean Keys.
The K champ.
Hollywood K in the building.
We're here to talk about some spicy news.
I don't know if you want to call it spicy news.
It's
I more
spicy.
think,
It's
well,
spicy.
yes, it's
Like one spice.
spicy. It's spicy, but at the same time, with probably a side of Viagra.
Well, it's spicy indeed.
Don't give that look, Keith.
It's spicy indeed. So we have about pretty much just two topics to really touch on today. We're going to talk about pretty much the Vince McMahon scandal that's going on right now currently. An investigation has broke out, and Sasha Banks firing, and a little bit of SmackDown. If you guys want to talk about SmackDown, the ending. For me, I want to talk about the ending, how it ended so horrible. It started off almost ended well, but then it ended very terrible. But anyway, getting on to the topic at hand, Vince McMahon. So news broke out. Wall Street Journal printed out an article about WWE Vince McMahon chairman and Johnny Laurinaitis, also formerly known as Johnny Ace, is under investigation for apparently there being some hanky spanky going on behind the closed curtains. So apparently Vince McMahon had hired an personal assistant who he was paying about $100K. And then after him and the assistant got involved, he upped her salary to about an extra 100, so she was getting paid $200,000. And then what happened was, allegedly, he passed her off as a toy to John Laurinaitis, right? And when her and John Laurinaitis stopped messing around, or when she, I guess, felt some kind of pressure or felt uncomfortability being in the company, she decided to leave. Vince McMahon paid her about $3 million to keep her mouth shut. Now, you may think, okay, if these are consenting adults, why is there an investigation? Why is this a major issue? Well, apparently the $3 million that Vince McMahon gave to this woman to keep her mouth shut came from WWE's money. So that's why he's being investigated, because he was using the company's money in order to, entertain his extramarital adventures.
No, side. Let's put it like this. He was entertaining the girl with an extra side of glizzy.
Extra side of glizzy. That's what it was.
Like, I don't know. Like, when the article broke, I literally was like, this man, literally, this 70-some-odd-year-old man, literally just got caught with his pants wrapped around his ankles.
Yeah.
There's no running. There's no running from this.
The weird part to me is that people are shocked. Why are people shocked?
Right.
Like, first off, if I'm a billionaire, like we seen the same thing with Robert Kraft. He was getting happy endings when he was getting his massages. So like this happens with rich people all the time. Why are we shocked?
I'm not. That's the thing. I'm not surprised by this. I just find it.
I think I don't care. I think that's the problem I have. I don't care enough. I'm like, okay, cool. He got caught. Somebody ran their mouth.
Right.
And it wasn't the girl. It was whoever him and John told. They went and told the board. Mm-hmm. Also, it's part of the reason Stephanie stepped away, because she saw all of this coming. It was a bit like she knew it was. This investigation isn't new. This has actually been going on for a while now.
But I think
it just got to the Wall Street Journal about what was going on. But behind closed doors, this has been going on for months. So I think Stephanie got wind of what was going on, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take a little LOA for a little while."
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what mainly shocks. Not so much Vince getting caught in a way. It was more so like with Stephanie walking, taking the LOA, and then now all of a sudden you're hearing that she's the interim chairwoman and CEO, and it's just like, okay, wait, okay, see, because when she made that tweet about her stepping away for family issues or whatever, we didn't know the severity of it. We thought it had something to do with Hunter. We thought it maybe had something to do with her mom, or one of her kids. We
I
didn't
know about all that.
None of us ever stopped to think like maybe Vince had something up his sleeve or down his pants, one of the two, whatever you want to call it at this point. Nobody knew. But then the bigger shock is that, Wall Street Journal was the one that reported on it. And the thing is usually Wall Street doesn't get involved, especially since they are, in the stock market. Wall Street usually doesn't get involved in situations like this unless it's a big allegation case.
Well, it's about money right now. And that's why the Wall Street Journal is, talking about it. But before we continue, the big bad booty daddy. Just had to do that real quick.
Lizzie and T.
Yo, Aunt, you already missed me saying that. I already said that Vince was getting, with this girl. He was giving her an extra side of glizzy on the side.
Side of glizzy. But listen, this is my thing, right? This is my thing. I had this conversation earlier, and the whole situation with Vince McMahon being investigated, I kind of was like a little confused, but then I understood the reason why he's being investigated. So Wall Street Journal was investigating it because he was stepping, because it's business related. So Wall Street Journal, reports stocks, businesses, and things that happen in, business and high, Fortune 500 companies and stuff like that. So being that this is business related, they're speaking about his, him stepping down, his demotion of being CEO, and then also the investigation of the $3 million that he used out of WWE's funding in order to, fund his, his little, in order to, have that gag order on the woman he was having the affair with. So this is my thing about that whole situation, which I felt like it was very interesting because, I was just like, I hope that this is not a situation whereas Vince McMahon is being like demonized or villainized because of the simple fact that these are two consensual adults who decided to mess around, right? Because these are two grown adults, right? Messed around. And then what kind of bothered me was when they said that there was saying there was something somebody said like, oh, Vince McMahon passed her off to Johnny Laurinaitis like a toy. I'm like, first off, let's get to like this is a grown woman, right? This woman is probably well in her 30s or 40s or 50s. This is a grown woman who pays her own bills, knows how to work a job. I'm quite sure she's literate. You know what I'm saying? Like this woman has a college degree, passed her off like a toy, like she was like a child or a helpless person who did not know what they were doing.
You got to look at the other side of it also. This is Vince McMahon. If you're in the wrestling industry, no matter what you're doing, right? No matter whether you are some backstage person, an on-air personality, if you are in the wrestling business, this is still Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And at the end of the day, with one text, phone call, whatever, he can end your career. So I think the investigation part of it is more or less too, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a man, right? We are men. Kayla, right. woman, but she can feel this more than us. We don't know how that feels unless you've been in that situation with a female boss where she used her being a woman, you know what I mean, to a point where it's like, you know what I mean? Like he used his power in a sense. If you don't do this, regardless, every famous person makes people sign NDAs. I know quite a few famous people that have did things, even had parties at their house.
I can name one.
Made you, even as a guy, made you sign an NDA as you walked in the house because you can't talk about that you were here or what went on while you were there.
And it's warranted.
Like normal. That's normal practice.
But it's warranted. But let me just say this real quick, Kayla, before you talk. I just want to say this. But this is the thing, though. When it comes to power, right? When the power of persuasion, you only have power over a person. I'm sorry, a person only has power over you when you give it to them. There's only two ways a person can have power over you, right? It's either they're like a cop, or they're the law, and they're like, you know, a correction officer, or, you know, like you're in a situation where they have this level of control over you where you can't, like you're in a prison, you know, they're a cop, they're the law, or you're hired under their business, or under their business, or under their employment. And because you want to stay there, you do what they say, you obey their orders, right? Because you have the option as a human being to stay or leave. And the power, it only maintains its stronghold based upon whether you want to stay under this person's leadership, under this person's employment or not. And that's what I'm saying. My thing is, I understand exactly what you're saying, but there comes a time where adults themselves have to, because again, we're in an adult world. We're not talking about little kids who don't understand the power of influence, who don't understand the power of money, who don't understand the power of persuasion, you know, who don't know that they're not being manipulated. Now, grown adults can be manipulated, but then there comes a time, a point where you're conscious, you're cognizant of the type of influence a person has, the kind of money a person has, the kind of control a person has, and the situation you're in as a human being, where you can say no, turn away, and leave. Because every opportunity, just because it's a financially substantial one, don't mean it's a good opportunity for you and your pride and your self-respect. So her as a grown, it's like, so certain adults get in these situations, and I'll be hearing like, you know, now I'm not saying, now I understand the power of influence, but again, it's still a lot of times adults are in these situations and they'll say, oh, this person used their power over me to make me. No one made you do that, because you as a human being can go to the law, or you can leave.
It sounds good, but that going to the law part of it right there, it's who you are as a person, right?
Yeah.
Vince McMahon. At the end of the day, they're going to look at him and be like, hey, Vince, this is what's going on. I know it's some bull. We just going to act like we da-da-da, and we just going to sweep this under the rug like it never happened.
Right.
It happens in the entertainment industry all the time.
Right.
Directors, producers, especially well-known, big-time producers, casting agents, all of that, they use their power and influence over these individuals. It's not saying they're weak-minded. Not even with this young lady. It's not saying she's weak-minded or anything like that.
Right.
It's she was in a situation literally where it's like, I'm in this industry. And I've talked to these people in this industry. Yeah, you do have some people that are a lot stronger that would have walked away and said, F this, I can go get it out the mud over here. It may take me a little longer. It might be a little harder, but I'm going to just start at the bottom over here, because I'm not gonna sacrifice who I am in my body for this. But right. You got some people that at the same time are like, nah, this man literally. But what's wrong with saying he can end my career like that?
But my question to you, Sean, is my question. Well, not just you, but just a question is that that's the thing, is that it's like we do have desires or things that we want, but like you said, it may take me a little longer. I may have to get out the mud. But again, what's wrong with saying no? Like, I understand.
There's nothing wrong with saying no.
Exactly. So I understand.
She had
like
every opportunity to say no.
Right. She's been offered that opportunity. Like, for instance, let's take for example. She's been offered the opportunity to work for WWE. She's working for Vince, getting paid $100,000. All of a sudden, Vince comes on to her. She's thinking, oh, this is a great opportunity to work with the the top WWE, the top wrestling company in the world. And then he comes on to her, and she thinks, right, there's two choices. Either I say no and lose my job and then start over somewhere else, or I could say yes and get paid, or get paid more than what I'm doing, but yet at the same time lose my self-respect and pride, right? So again, the choice was hers. But again, now again, we don't know what her side of the story is, and we're not saying that she's playing the victim. But I just don't like when people paint certain narratives as if that this is a grown adult who could have made a decision to say no.
Well, and from what I heard, she wasn't the one who of course she signed an NDA, so legally she couldn't be the one to come out and say anything. Right. That it was somebody else went to the board with this information and kind of outed Vince. So it's one of them things, like, it's really him and John Laurinaitis at the end of the day, because they're the people of power.
Yeah.
The people of power always are in the wrong. Regardless of it being consensual adults, it's still not consensual when you use your power.
I mean, we also have to stop to think, what's the possibility that Vince maybe didn't offer, like, if it offer this girl, like, hey, you keep doing this, I'm going to give you a promotion, or I'm going to give you more money. So that put in her head, like, well, shit, if I don't do this, then it's like, I'm not going to get higher up in the company. And that, unfortunately, me being a woman, I have seen that in many jobs I've had where it's been a male store manager or a male CEO of the company, and it's like that statement is true. Sometimes you have to sleep with the boss to get to the top.
But that's the thing, and that's the thing. That's the reason why, like people talk about the phrase of selling your soul. Like there's been like, as a matter of fact, it's funny, right? Because I just recently seen a shoot interview of this guy. His name is he's a wrestler from the 80s, but he didn't really make it that far. His name is Brownstone or Brick Wall or something like that.
Yeah.
And he talked about Pat Patterson, how Pat Patterson came on to him in the elevator in the 80s. Like they had him
I've heard
on a
that.
WWE contract, and
I've heard those
and they
stories.
told you're right, and he was in contacts with Linda McMahon, Vince McMahon, and they wanted to make him big, make him a big African American star. And he said that he was in the elevator with Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson said, your life can change off of just one signature of the pen. And he was like, you can make a lot of money. You can make six figures, yada, yada, yada. God was like, yeah. Pat Patterson came on to him, and he said that he ran out of the elevator so fast, and then he had a conversation with Ric Flair and Rowdy Piper and other people. And they said to him, they said, listen, they said, in this business, it was like, if this is what you really want, there's some things you got to do. You got to play the game in order to get what you want.
The
they told him shit like
entertainment
that.
industry in general.
So
we've heard these stories for years about movie actors, actors, hell, even rappers and singers.
Yeah.
Right.
There's stories that are out there. Nobody has confirmed those stories, but it's those same kind of stories where as a man, you've been in situations with another man of power, of influence, and they've put you in these situations where it's like, I could do this, and they could make one phone call and change my entire life for my family, you know what I mean? So it's like, at the end of the day, we all have decisions to make, but those things really happen.
So Ric Flair says this. Ric Flair says this, and this is funny. Ric Flair says, he's having a conversation with the guy, and he said, Ric Flair tells him like this. He says, listen, man. He said, listen, so, Pat wants to do this to you. He said, think about it. He said, well, you just get into bed with Pat, and, you let him, top you off a little bit. And then for that, you make what? $100,000 a year or $300,000 a year. He said, just for that, he said, don't sound that bad to me. And again, that's the whole thing about selling your soul. It's like, is that, again, it's like, what's wrong with saying no?
I think on her, so outside of your guys' perspective, you guys have to think about it with the women. There is the biggest movement going around right now, and that's the Me Too movement. And a lot of women are scared to, say no. A lot of them are even scared to, go to, law enforcement or whatever. And I mean, even if she signed a non-disclosure agreement, she could have went to like a friend of hers or, somebody on the board and pulled them aside and let them know what was going on. Is the thing. It's like, I feel for her because of the fact that, like, one, I feel like in a way she may have been taken advantage of, but also at the same token, she was probably scared to say anything because, Keys made a good point. Vince being a multi-billion-dollar man, if even if she hadn't signed a non-disclosure or, told somebody else and went to law enforcement, they would have just swept it under the rug. And then it would have felt like her story wasn't ever going to get heard, and that, well, she was just making this up to get a little bit of paper.
Listen, my thing is this: when it comes to situations like that, because these situations happen to men too, where other men come on to other men. and women come on to men too. You know what I'm saying? Same thing happened to men, you know. But the thing is that when it comes to situations of victim and predator, I don't feel when it comes to when it comes to kids, I definitely feel sorry for kids like all around because again, they don't know, right? You know, but then when it comes to adults, right? This is where I stop feeling sorry for the victim is when the choice has been placed in front of you. And it's either you keep your integrity and say no and walk away because there's nothing wrong with saying no.
True.
Or you say yes, take the offer, right? You take the offer, you agree to it, but then you turn around and then you say, this person manipulated me into doing it. It's like no one manipulated you. They just placed the offer on the table. And they said it's not bro. It's not because the fact of the matter is this, right? Because you can say no. It's like if I give you if I put a cup of poison in front of you and a cup of water in front of you, and I say, listen, you drink that water, that's the water you're gonna get. You're gonna go home. But if you drink that poison, I want to see how it hurts you and affects you. You might die, but if you live, I give you $10 million. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's up to you to decide whether you're going to drink the poison or not. So you drink the poison, either it's pain,
but in the
are you coughing up blood, huh?
I'll say in the court of law and even the court of public perception, at the end of the day, and I go back to it, person of influence and power is always held up here. And then that employee or whoever that other person is that's below them is always held at a lower level. So at the end of the day, when anybody looks at, not everybody, but when people look at the story, that's how the story is perceived before any words are really spoken. It's this person, and we'll use Vince right now in this situation. Vince, John Laurinaitis are in the wrestling industry. As much as we think John Laurinaitis is a fucktard and clown, he's still of high importance. And at the end of the day, even him, he can still even he can make or break your career.
See, but here's the thing though, Keys, is being that John Laurinaitis is involved, I wonder, not so much with Linda, because like Linda probably has known for several years that Vince has stepped out on the marriage,
probably
whatever.
known for the last 50 years.
Yeah, I think he slept with a lot of women.
When it comes to John Laurinaitis, who happens to be married to the Bella twins' mother, it's like, how is she gonna look at this situation?
Like any other woman who's married to somebody who has money?
Right. Can I say something real quick? Let me just say something real quick. This is something that, and again, this is something that a lot of people like, you know, Sean more than likely is probably aware of it. But again, like, because Sean keeps referencing a guy with a lot of money. And that's the thing. When it comes to men and women dynamic, that's the thing about, that's why I said, like, when it comes to that whole power thing, when that choice, because again, the person with money, they can't, there's some people with money, like you got the guy, the guy who owned the studio, Lionsgate. I forgot what studio it was.
Oh, yeah.
An investigation, and what he was doing, you know what I'm saying, was apparent. It was apparent manipulation. He was like forcing himself on women. But again, there's the time and place where the guy with money and power presents you with an opportunity. And when it comes to status, when it comes to choosing a companion, most women who are either young or old tend to choose guys with money and status. That's what they want. They want guys with money and status. So automatically, it's a magnet. It's a level of attraction. That's what most women usually go for. As a matter of fact, that's what
money equals power.
Most people, right? Most people, men, we go for status because we want more women. Women go for men with status because they want that level of provision. They want that level of, they want that level of provision. They want that guy, you know what I'm saying? Or they want somebody who's a top earner. But nonetheless, that's what we go for. So my thing is that, some as people, we feel like this is an opportunity we don't want to pass up. And we feel that social pressure of, you know what, she's probably thinking, I could get on my knees and I could do XYZ and get, my career can go somewhere else, or I could say no, walk away, and try to find a better, better success somewhere else. And she
I got a good
that.
example. I got a good example of that. Not a good example, but two examples that are up there. One, Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you really think about it, had they not got caught so early, the positions that he was gonna put Monica Lewinsky into, though, like he was really gonna position her high up, and she did it because he's the fucking president. Like he can put her. The other one, even though I can't remember none of us were born yet. So I don't know if you were, but you're not.
When?
Marilyn Monroe.
Oh yeah,
no,
I heard about it.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same with her and John F. Kennedy. Also, it was the same. Like he was helping her in, even though she was she was growing to be a big time movie star. He was still helping her on the back end too with producers and directors and things like that. So it's one of them things. Like also, where, like you said, women realize, hey man, this man can really put me where I need to be. Why wouldn't I do this? If it's not going to be me, it's going to be the next girl or the next person. So why not?
I think when it comes to some women, they more like Sai said. I agree. Sometimes they do go based off of status and everything else, and that is, it's not an insecurity on that woman's part, but it's an integrity issue. Like if you're really going to sell yourself that short to have to, sleep with the CEO of a company, whether it's a Fortune 500 company or whatever, you've got some internal problems within yourself.
Hey man, I'm the most confident person in the world, but let me tell you, if Stephanie or Linda had me in that same situation, I'm doing it.
Yep.
So Linda McMahon. So you mean to tell me if Linda McMahon came up to you and offered you those crickety rickety raggedy
I'm busting
cakes.
her guts open.
I'm beating it down.
Hey, yo.
I'm knocking Linda out the park.
I'm busting them guts.
Like I said, if I am in the wrestling industry, whether I'm a wrestler, whether even if I'm the person that's just making costumes, like, bro, at the end of the day, I'm in this industry to go places and be known and get to the highest peak that I can in this industry. And if I can skip some steps or jump the line by licking some old cooch, sure, why not?
Yeah, that's billionaire cougar.
That's Bill. Do you know how much Linda McMahon is worth?
Yeah.
Linda. She is worth $3 billion. She's a billionaire.
You know how much I'm gonna be worth?
She's a billionaire herself. So, Sai, you're telling me right now, Sai, you're literally telling me if Linda came to you, you had to sign
you a
the
hand
NDA,
job.
She offered you
a hand job,
$1 million. I'll use $1 million low to start out.
Yeah,
you're not taking it.
The first thing I'll do is if Linda McMahon came to me was like, Saheem, if you bust these old dusty cheeks, I'll give you $1 million. First thing I'd be like, hold on, Linda, let me go tell Chanel. Hey, Chanel, Linda said she'll give me $1 million to bust those dusty cheeks. You cool with it? And Chanel be like, Chanel give me an answer. She'll tell me if she cool with it or not. If Chanel cool with it, I'll be like, all right, Linda, time to hop on the chocolate train. If not, then I'm out.
Hold on. I'm gonna ask this question now. If Linda McMahon came to me now for $1 million, she told me to beat her down, would you be okay with this? No? Okay. She wouldn't be okay with it.
Chanel told me to go make that money.
Mine don't got no choice to be okay with it.
Wait, what you say, Ant?
Mine don't got no choice whether to be okay with it or not.
Hey, I'm gonna be real.
He said you ain't got no choice.
She can say no. I'm gonna still go do it.
Yo, but then you gonna
deal
end
with
up
the
in
consequences later.
Yeah, you gonna end up in a whole serious different situation.
I'll Kobe the situation to go buy her something expensive.
Yeah, she'd be alright with it.
I'll
give her
buy
like 3,000 like
you buy a house and a
diamond
car.
rings. Right.
Right. I
3
buy a
diamond
house and a
rings or
car, she
something.
forgets it all after that.
Right. She
See,
forgets. Like,
y'all,
oh my
see,
God. Oh,
see,
I hate you, but I love you at the same time.
y'all
Right.
way different.
And she opens the door to her brand new house.
Right.
Yep. They don't call me the big bad booty daddy for nothing, you know.
Like,
But let me
See,
say this. I
y'all
would say
way
this.
different than I would. I
I would
wouldn't
say this,
do it
but
for a
but
million.
honestly, the fact of the matter is this though. Like honestly, truth of the matter is, if that situation did occur, the reality is like, you know, again, I don't know if you guys ever seen a movie Indecent Proposal, but that's what it was pretty much about. It's the same thing
Yeah.
with the older guy, right? Same scenario. And after the act was done, you know what I'm saying? It was almost like the relationship was not the same. At the end, they wound up getting back together, but there was a lot of repairing to be done because again, it wasn't so much about the money, it was about the bond, the integrity in the relationship. So, but that's the thing. I understand, like, there are some steps you can skip, but it's about your self-respect. It's about after you're done doing what you've done, can you look yourself in the mirror and say, I am that same person prior to me taking this money and performing this act? Can I do that? But then what bothers me is if you're gonna go do it, go and do it and be settled in yourself about doing it. But don't go and do it and then claim you're a victim behind saying yes to the act. That's what I can't stand is when a person don't take accountability for their own act.
I think it all depends on, and we don't know, but it all depends on how Vince approached her with all of this.
Yeah.
That's the one part nobody knows. We know the story, we know, but we just don't know the beginnings. Like, how did this come about? That's the only part we don't know. Where it's like, he could have did this, he may not have. She could have, if I remember, was she a secretary or something like that?
I don't know, but I saw a picture of her.
She was an assistant.
And she was a sister.
Assistant.
No. A sister.
No.
She was black.
She was black.
Oh, it was a black chick.
I've seen a picture of her.
How'd she look?
Girl, I haven't seen the picture.
Yeah, send that picture.
Let me see if I can.
Oh, send that. I gotta see this picture.
I don't know because I'm on my phone and I don't know.
But to segue a little bit before you started, I think the interesting thing is Stephanie taking over right now. Sasha hasn't officially been released. Okay. So with that, Stephanie stepping in with Vince stepping away, she doesn't have to listen to nothing her father is suggesting. Because he's still gonna try to influence because he just stepped down as CEO and chairman.
But he's majority owner of the company, and she don't want to get written out that will because once he passes on, most of the shares and everything is gonna go over to her more than likely.
At the end of the day, if let's say this is a permanent move, him being a majority owner has nothing to do with who's the CEO or chairman. If the board, you got to remember when a company becomes a public trading company, the board makes the decisions as far as who's like I can own the company, that's fine. I learned this from Batman actually. It's so crazy.
Right.
But the board still makes a lot of those major decisions. Remember, Bruce Wayne was the majority owner.
Right.
But the board still made decisions as far as, X, Y, and Z. So they still made the decision as far as who's going to be in that chair. She is. Right. I think this helps out with the Sasha situation. I also think, even though Nick Khan is still there, I've told everybody, this is how Triple H is back in the door. Nick Khan just wants to run the business. He don't really care about the wrestling side of things. Yeah, he don't. He just wants to. Good. He just wants to handle the wrestling things. I mean, the business. Triple H and Stephanie running the day-to-day operations. Mm. A lot of free agents right now that were released, people that haven't been signed that were released. Anybody that's with AEW, they probably at least have a good either year to 2 year contract. Maybe a bigger name, maybe a little longer. Mm. So I don't see them coming back right now anytime soon. But there's a lot of New Japan people that their contracts are coming up, whether they're Japanese or American or whatever. I think this may also help fix the situation with like like a Ricochet, like a lot of those people who WWE contracts also were coming up at the end. I think having somebody new in power helps with those. You know what I mean? It'll help with those situations also. They don't want to lose Sasha. At the end of the day, you would be the dumbest to know that you lose Sasha. And if she decides she wants to keep wrestling, because from everything I heard, she wants to go Hollywood, which makes a lot of sense. If you watch The Mandalorian, she's a great actress. But the possibility that you could lose her to AEW, the possibility that she's not going to Impact, but she's too big of a name. But to lose her to AEW, New Japan, or Stardom, and she's outright said she wants to wrestle in Japan. She wants to wrestle for either New Japan or Stardom.
So did Nick Khan? So my question is, did Nick Khan have anything to do with that?
The way the Twitter streets are talking, it seems like he may have. But everybody's always going to say Nick Khan came in and he dismantled the McMahon family. I've said, and y'all know I've told y'all this probably since I've started being on the show with y'all. Vince got to go. Somehow, some way, Vince had to get the hell up out of here. If this is how he had to go, and it's not, God forbid, it's not death. Because honestly, that's what I thought. Vince is just like his dad. He won't go nowhere until he was either too sick to handle the day-to-day or he was gone. And his dad that's how his dad was. His dad just got too sick to handle the day-to-day, and that's when Vince took over. And then his dad passed away.
Yeah, but I don't think Vince should leave in this kind of fashion. In my opinion, I would prefer, and out of honor, just out of pure honor for what Vince McMahon has done for WWE throughout the past years, how he's elevated his father's business. You know, all the good things, even though I hated what Vince did for a decade and a half, again, he still gave us decades that were great. He still gave us years that were great. He still at times was persuaded to make good decisions. There was times that he made some bad decisions, but he gave us like 3 good eras of wrestling, like amazing eras of wrestling. So even in this type of situation, I still don't want to I would rather Vince die out.
But I mean,
Vince die, in his bed, from natural causes, from old age. And
look
at
his
position than actually lose this way in such a sneaky backdoor way. Like I would rather that, or rather him, honorably say, you know what, I'm going to bow out gracefully, hand these decisions over to Stephanie and Triple H, and let them do it, or take more of a lesser role and just give my input and let them run the whole thing. I prefer that.
But it happened. Look at Coach Paterno up in Penn State. When all of that stuff happened.
Right.
Nobody wanted to see him go out like that. But he took, and this was more on him, he was like, hey, I didn't fully know all of the weird, creepy stuff that was going on, but I still knew a little of it, and I had to bite the bullet, and I just had to walk away from it. So, I mean, it happens. Nobody wants to see him go out like this. It should have been. I mean, if you think about it, we've heard worse stuff go on and happen when it comes to Vince. To be honest, this ain't even the worst out of the stuff we've heard before. So this just one of them things, like Vince is old. If that's what if this is how he's, like you said, you rather him ride off in the sunset. But if he got to get up out of here, we got to get him up out of here. I mean, they're going to, honestly, I think, I still think it's a collective thing, man. It's
you think there's like a whole
a whole thing
because I heard like there was like even before Stephanie even left, like there was like coercion. Like I heard like there was some like before Stephanie even left, like there was some backstage rumor, like backstage talks about Stephanie prior to her leaving, and they were like talking about Steph, and they were saying like that she made some decisions that weren't the best. And that's one of the reasons why she had to leave. And when she came back, then a lot of that chatter stopped. But then there was some people also backstage who were actually like reprimanded or kind of seen as being, you know, kind of like double-sided, because it was like prior to her leaving, like when they knew she was leaving, then they wanted to expose things about her, but then when she came back, then they wanted to be hush hush about it. But I can understand, because, you know, she's the chairman's daughter, so it's like, you know, you can't really come out and say things and not expect, you know, and expect for, you know, Vince McMahon to be on your side, and then, you know, go like, that's his daughter. He's going to take his daughter's side, but
influence and power.
Yep, pretty much.
That's exactly what you said.
But it's more nepotism. That's more nepotism. I mean, that's more nepotism, if anything.
I mean, in my opinion, though, if there's anyone that can possibly bring this company out of the freaking ashes that it's in right now, it's got to be Stephanie. Like, she's been behind the scenes for so many years and everything else. And I understand right now she's working with a really weak lackluster of a roster, but maybe she might be able to pull this company out of the water and actually, you know, get that competition back where like they had before with, you know, when AEW started, and kind of get that competition back, because right now it's like we're seeing the same rematches week in and week out, and it's like it's missionary, and I'm tired of seeing the same position every night.
Hey, missionary gets the job done, all right?
Oh God,
that's not what I'm.
No. I don't mean it in that sense. I mean it in the sense of right now with WWE, it may be missionary, but it's getting the job done right now.
Yeah,
it's keeping it. There's no roster. At the end of the day,
I know.
It's about, you have to rebuild that roster first.
Yeah.
In order to get back to those good, like Sasha said, we went through those 10 plus years of just whatever.
Yeah.
We're kind of back to that point right now where we're going to go through a little period of whatever, and the roster is going to rebuild, whether it's through NXT, whether it's free agency, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, as much as I ain't even gonna say that, a lot of AEW isn't going to be able to be kept. There are some names over there, and it's more the homegrown names, not the free agents they brought in.
Yeah, no.
There is some homegrown talent over there that's going to end up in WWE with Cody. Because the money isn't there right now. As far as I know, I could be wrong. I don't know that man. I don't know Khan's pockets like that. But it's going to get to a point where a lot of them are going to leave, and they're going to go to WWE. So that's going to help build the rosters.
Yes. And I think with a lot of people, like they're going to have some issue with, you know, Stephanie being in charge, because she's a woman, and like I've heard some crap this morning from, you know, some people of like, oh well, you know, Stephanie's gonna have one of her menopause moments, and then you know, whatever. That's literally what people were saying today, like on Twitter. Like it was mainly people on Twitter that were talking about like, oh well, now that Stephanie's in charge, she's gonna have a menopause issue, and then the company's just gonna, you know, like that's kind of why, I hate to say it, but in America in general, that's why everybody in America is scared in a way to let a female run the freaking United States of America. It's like, but yet they're okay with having a female as like a vice president, but yet it's like you're not okay with, you know, a female in a Fortune 500 company, because you think that she can't do the job that a man can, when we kind of sort of can. You just got to give us a chance.
I mean, anybody's suitable to do. It's all about, because the thing about it is, it has nothing to do with sex or gender. It's all about whether you can make the right decisions or not. Pretty much, that's really what it's about. When it comes to that moment, can you make the right decisions? And I remember again, I'm never opposed to female leadership at all, you know. But it's all about the right person for the right job. And when I look at Stephanie McMahon and her leadership, or what she's able to do, the thing about it is I don't really have, the only thing I feel or I sense, and I say sense or feel personally, these are just my feelings about it. I think that if Stephanie was to run the company, I think that Stephanie would do it better than Vince, because Stephanie's younger. I think she would have more of an ear to the younger crowd, and then she would want to give the people more so what they want. But at the same time, I still think there's a hint of her father in her where she still understands that business aspect, which is a smart and shrewd way to think is, even though I have to give the people what they want, I still have to do what is best for business.
Well, I just came across the photo, and it's a little bit blurry, but you'll be able to see. Keys, look up. Can y'all see it?
Wait, wait, go down a little bit, just a little bit more. Okay. Wait, why don't you send that picture in the group? Oh, she pretty.
Hold on, let me see if I can. Hold on.
What was that?
That's the girl.
That is the old. That's the intern, or that's the assistant / paralegal. Vince literally got caught with his pants down, sleeping with the paralegal.
Oh, she's bad though. I would got caught my pants down too.
Bad.
I just sent it in the group.
Bad. All right, hold on a second. I'm about to put this picture up right now. She bad to the bone.
That's who Vince got caught with his pants down with. Yikes.
Okay. Oh, we about to see this right now.
Like I said, it's a little blurry, but it'll do justice.
Oh yeah, we about to see this. Oh, bad. Bad to the bone. Oh, look at that right there. Oh, she's a tenderoni, huh? But look, she's nice. But see, but again, this is my thing, right? You look at a woman like this, right? So again, like this, a girl like this can easily find a guy that would be attracted to her. She on a scale from her on a scale of 1 to 10 is probably she's between a 10 and an 8. Easily. Oh, yeah. She's between a 10 and an 8. She can get a job. She can go to a bar, go to a club, and get a guy with no problem. Mm-hmm. Again, and then at that, she's an African American woman. So she's put in a position where Vince McMahon makes this slight gesture or this offer to her, right? And again, it's about the decision that she wants to make. Listen, are you for sale or are you not? Plain and simple, right? So if she says no, she can say no and move forward. But the thing about it is it's the human nature. It's the nature of the beast in us that says, you know what? I can make more money. I just got to sleep with this old guy. I'm just sleeping with this old guy, but I'm going to make my money. And that's it. And then we decide, you know, and as human nature, yields to the temptation of, you know, putting yourself up for sale. She could say no. She could say no. She did not have to say yes, but this is a fine looking young woman.
Can she say no? Can she really say no?
Bro, she can. Bro, listen, hold up. Sean, she can say no. Like there's no pressure. The only pressure in that situation is whether she's pressured by how much money she wants or how much self-respect she has for herself. There's no real pressure in that situation. Because again, she's a paralegal. She's a paralegal. She's a lawyer. She can go make money somewhere else.
One phone call, her entire career could be over.
It could be, but what are you willing to give up for that? That's not.
But see,
I mean, until this came out, we don't know what she's doing now. She actually could be in a great situation because she won't the one who outed the situation.
Bro, she got 3 mil. She got 3 mil for the gag order, so she good.
She signed the NDA. She got her bread. She was good. So at the end of the day, it wasn't a bad situation for her. It's worse on Vince than it is on anybody else.
It is. It's like I said at the beginning.
Even John a little bit, but it's definitely Vince is gonna bear the brunt of all of this. John Laurinaitis is gonna get it, but not as bad as Vince is.
It's like I said at the beginning of it. Vince literally got caught with his pants down. I mean,
yeah,
he got caught with his pants down, wanting to get turkey basted. I don't know.
Look, I look at the situation. I'm just like, listen, this is a grown woman. And I think about it too. I'm just like, listen, I just don't want to hear, because I mean, I know we're gonna hear stuff about it because it was a same situation with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, where, you know, this woman, you know, Amber Heard she was guilty of defamation of character, and somebody somewhere still found some way or somehow to make Amber Heard or some other female a victim. And I'm just like, listen, in my opinion, that whole situation, I felt like it was a toxic relationship, period.
Yeah.
I feel like they
Yo,
both
can I say something?
I felt like they were both, but nonetheless, but Amber Heard was trying to destroy his career and talk about like, oh, he was abusing her when it was like you were the primary abuser, and it was just like, all right, listen, don't listen. Y'all had a toxic relationship. Just go your separate ways. Like, stop trying to, like, stop trying to, like, listen, just let it go. But then it's like now you're trying to destroy the guy's career. It's like, but it's just about accountability. It's like you get to a place where as an adult, you got to take accountability for the decision you make. You can always say no. Like, you don't have to get up and work a job. You don't have to go outside and shoot somebody, or you don't have to get up and go and take that. You can make decisions. My point is, as a person, you can make your own decisions. She could have made her own decisions, but think about it. She ain't even saying nothing about it. She ain't saying nothing about it. I just don't. But I know we're gonna hear something about it. I just already know. Crazy about it.
Well,
somebody gonna say something about it.
We're gonna hear something about it.
Yo, listen, this is all karma for Vince McMahon. He deserved everything that happened to him.
Yo, Aunt, at the end of the day, though, I think Vince wanted to be a part of Glizzy ENT.
Nah, he ain't being a part of none of that. Listen, he deserved everything that's happening to him. This is karma. All those cases
Why you say it's karma?
All those cases that he beat that we knew he was guilty at, all the steroids, the Sable situation, the Sonny situation, the cat situation with Jerry King Lawler. This is all karma coming back to hit him, bro.
What happened with Sonny?
Huh?
What happened with Sonny?
Vince touched her butt too.
Oh, Vince is a super freak.
It's like at the end of the day, karma comes back to get you one way or another.
This is all karma from when Pat Patterson squeezed Ahmed Johnson's ass, and he went to go tell Vince, and Vince ain't do nothing about it. That's why Ahmed Johnson left WWF, because he was getting sexual harassed by Pat Patterson.
Jeez.
Oh wow.
Now this is me. This is definitely having me rethink my choices.
He was squeezing Ahmed's ass. Ahmed said he'll walk by. He said Pat Patterson is a pervert. He used to squeeze my ass every chance he
gets. Damn.
He's an ass grabber. This is karma. I'm glad this is happening. We had to get him out of here one way or other, and we got him out of here. Nobody should be sad about this. This is a great day. It's a great day for wrestling fans.
Look, it's like I said before. I'm happy. Like as
the black and gold era is coming back.
Well, it's not only that, Aunt, but as a woman, I like to see more. I like to see more women thrive in male-dominated sports. I do. Well, not in male-dominated sports, but in male-dominated businesses, because
a woman needs to stay in her place, and that's not a woman's place. Would you like a woman to run boxing? No. I wouldn't want to see a woman running boxing. Hell no.
True. No.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, because you want to see, you want to see ass and titties. That's why. That's your
no. What does that have to do with her running?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me say something because let me say this, right? Because I see where Ann's coming from, and this is how I see things, right? This is what annoys me, right? It's because I understand, like I feel like it's okay. Like if a woman takes an interest in something that's a male-dominated field, I feel like it's fine. I feel like if she's interested in that and she likes that and she wants to get into it, totally okay. What I don't like is when something is male-dominated because that's what predominantly males are interested in. Then people the media try to turn it around and say, oh, it's a male-dominated field and they need to give more opportunities to women. Well, most of the consumers of this, like for instance, like comic books, right? Most of the people who read comic books are men, right? But yet they create female superheroes for females to watch. But most of the time, most of the people who are buying comic books are men. A large percentage are men, right? It's the same thing with the WNBA and NBA, right? Most of the people who watch basketball are men, right? You have the WNBA that's been around for more than a decade, right? their finances or their intake for female audiences has not
Yeah.
increased over the years. It has suffered dramatically. So it's like you had WNBA players feeling like they should get paid as much as NBA players, and it's like, no, you shouldn't, because you're not making the you're not drawing in the money. You're not bringing, if women outnumber men 7-1,
Yeah.
right? There's more than enough women that can go and watch a WNBA game, but they don't.
I don't.
So
I
right.
don't.
So
I do.
So that's the thing. I feel like if a woman is in a male-dominated sport and she's able to be somebody that's a valuable asset, I salute that, and I praise that, because again, that's her passion at work. That's her doing what she loves to do. I'm a person who loves to support people in their passion, their dreams. That's cool. But when a person, let me not say the narrative is, this is the narrative. I'm just saying this is the narrative. When the narrative is that, oh, this, like, we need to make more things for women, and it's like, well, hold on a second. Like, I understand you cutting the lane for women, but don't make it all about women when most of the consumers are not women. Like, that's, for instance, like, like a pottery class. Most of the people, like, if you're selling like pottery, right? Most of the consumers are women. They're not men. So we need to make more things for men and make it, give it a stronger male presence. And it's like,
pottery is actually
keep it for women, because those are the people who buy it. Like, so that's just my
pottery.
No, I get what you're saying.
I like pottery. I'm just saying.
No. I'm just giving an example.
But I get what you're saying. But then at the same time, I'm one of those guys that's like, the reason that this is a male-dominated sport is because this is probably a sport that started before women were even allowed to do anything outside of the kitchen. So
like
at the same time, it's kind of like a catch-22 with that, because it, like, using basketball for an example, that's a sport that's been around since the 1899, early 1900s.
Something like that, yeah.
Right.
Like, that's something that women weren't allowed to. They were interested in it because they went to the games. They were there. They just couldn't play. They wouldn't allow them to play. So then, of course, in the early 90s, when you have the Dream Team and all of this, and they start integrating women into that sport more, it changes now to the point that, hell, girls AAU basketball is just as big as the boys.
Yeah,
it's not almost bigger.
What's that again?
I said women's AAU basketball is just as big as the boys is. Well, it's not bigger, because the boys is still where the money in AAU basketball comes in. But them little girls be out there hooping better than the boys a lot of times.
Keys, I got one for you, since you just mentioned that. Look at the females that have just now became a referee for WWE and in other sports as well.
Well, there's actually been women referees around for a very long time.
Right. But what I'm saying is it's more, it's more WWE predominant now.
Yeah, they actually had a woman referee back in the 80s. It was like late 80s.
Right, but it's more predominant now because there's the Me Too movement, and there's all these women's movements where it's like, I've always looked at it as me being a woman. If there's something that a man can do that I can't do, then I ain't gonna try it. But if there's something that a man can do that I can, then I'm gonna try it.
Right.
It's all about carpe diem, seize the moment, basically.
Yeah.
You gotta take your shots. You gotta shoot your shots. They may not always go in like a Steph Curry 3, but you always gotta shoot your shots.
Right. No, right. I totally, and that's exactly how I feel. Like, there's exactly what you said. There's something that men are good at that women are not as great. There's some things that women are good at that men are not as great. And I feel like that's what makes us different. That's what balances us as male and female. And I just don't like when, but I feel like, but again, like with the whole Me Too movement, I understand why there's so much of an extremity of, we need to put women in the forefront, because every movement, every time there's a movement, because there's always been a deficit of something that's been lacking or something that's been missing. Before we actually get a balance, there's always a far extreme. There's always a far extreme. So it's like
You
we go
said
to a
one
far
thing
extreme
that
before we get an actual, before we get an actual balance. It's like, okay, like, oh, women never had these opportunities, da da da.
Yeah.
Then it's like, give them all opportunities, and then it's like, okay, but hold on a second. Well, and then it balances out like, well, maybe these opportunities, or maybe this seems fair, but it's not equal, and then they balance everything out. But every movement is always a far extreme before there's an actual balance. So,
but like you said, women outnumber men, so it's like a lot of times these businesses in different ventures and things use women in a sense to bring in that demographic that wasn't there before. Because women spend money just as much as men do.
They spend money.
And you got to think about it. You bring, especially with wrestling,
they're the number one consumers.
We were just like when we were in the space earlier, we were talking to AJ from Hit Row, and or what was his name, Dollar, whatever. Ant know them. Anyway, we were talking to him, and he said something that made a lot of sense. A lot of these wrestling, especially the indie promotions, don't realize. If you make it free for women, it's going to bring more men in. Because at the end of the day, of course, we're going to watch a wrestling event. We want to see our favorite wrestlers that we see on TV, that we can see live. But at the same time, if I'm sitting here watching this wrestler and there's a fine woman sitting next to me, that's a plus.
Yeah.
But I mean, see, mine is a little different from Key's, because in my household, I'm the one that watches wrestling. My husband really doesn't. But it's like, if we sit there and we watch it together, it's like, okay, that's a plus. Like, you're interested in something that I've practically grown up watching. When it comes to football and basketball, he's like, I don't want to watch this shit. Like, he saw how I was during the NBA finals. He's like, nope, I'm not watching this shit with you.
Right. Like, I'm not a big basketball fan at all. Like, I just started watching, like, a little bit of basketball, but my brother used to watch basketball all the time. My father used to watch basketball. I was not a basketball fan, not a football fan, not a baseball fan, but just recently I started getting into sports. But but I definitely understand. But that's my thing about, like, this whole, like, the whole consumer part is, like what you were saying, Sean, is that about women are just as big as consumers, but actually, and more statistics, women are the biggest consumers. They're the biggest consumers in when it comes to buying clothes, when it comes to buying food, when it comes to supporting most things. They tend to be the biggest consumers, not in everything, but in just certain things. They tend to be the primary consumers. They buy things. And the thing is that it's just that when it comes to, just certain things, as far as like a certain, like, again, the NBA, most women are not buying tickets to go to the NBA, and then, there's always a narrative of, well, women never had the opportunity to compete or to be allowed to do that. Yes, we understand that. That's because most of the physical labor or the hard labor was always left to men, or was always done by men, for hunting, for gathering food, for building, for structuring, for building all this stuff, while the women took care of the kids. They made sure the house was in order, you know what I'm saying? And that was the structure, and there was nothing wrong with that. But it's like, when it comes to more physical things, more physical activities, women tend to shy, not shy away, but women tend to say, you know what, hey, would you rather roll around in the dirt and get paid a whole bunch of money, or stay home and be married to a man who rolls around in the dirt and gets paid a whole bunch of money and brings it home to you? They would rather be married to the man who's rolling around in the dirt. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing with war. Like we talk about equality, right? When it, like, there's women in the army, but when it comes to war, who's fighting the war? Men are fighting the war. Women are not fighting wars. Men are fighting wars. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to protecting like, back in the, ancient times, you had wars, you had people who came and attacked the land or attacked the village. Who was protecting the village? It was the man. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's like, I just think that when it comes to these kind of things, I feel like when it comes to these kind of things, I feel like, again, it's just like, there are certain there are things that work better for men and women, or I just feel like when we do like these extremes, sometimes it's just like we need to balance this out. Like some things need to be balanced out, you know. But that's all I'm saying. I'm just not totally against some things. I'm just like, no, we need to balance this out because most of the people who buy tickets for wrestling are mostly men. It's not you don't see a lot of fine women at wrestling. I've been to wrestling events, and there are not a lot of fine.
I will beg to differ.
They're mostly geeky men. More of the geeky men outnumber the women
tell you
than there's women.
And I think I was telling my girl about this.
Uh-huh.
And I think it goes back to just being on these Twitter spaces and being in that, getting into that indie wrestling community.
Yeah, there
are some fine black women that are into wrestling, and it amazes me because I'm like, I felt how what you just said, like it's mostly old white guys, or just if there are black people, they're really geeky, nerdy, and just weird, and they have social anxiety. They don't know how to talk to people or be around people. But there are some. Once you get into like you start going to indie shows and you start seeing like not the little high school ones, but the indie shows. There are some fine women that are into wrestling, and it's always it surprises me because I'm like, I would never think that.
Yeah.
I honestly would never, but there is a large number of I sit in spaces with them. It's a large number of fine black women.
You know why though? You know why though, right, Keith?
Why?
I don't.
Because they're into that cosplay. You know, they want to dress up in the bedroom.
Some of them, yes, but some of them are legit into wrestling because just like us, we grew up watching with our big brothers, with our grandfathers, with our dads. And even though, just like with Kayla, she grew up watching it with X, Y, and Z, and it got her into it. It's the same thing with these women. They grew up, they may have even had a boyfriend or an ex-husband or whatever that got them into wrestling, and they watched it with, just like I watch reality shows with my girl. I at first did not watch them. Now I will honestly sit without her, and I'm watching shows now.
Yo, Keys.
You know what I mean? Because it's like I got into something that was a her thing, and I gravitated to it because I've watched it enough that I've gotten invested in it. So it's the same thing with wrestling or any other sport.
You gotta send me that how you got into shit so that I can get my husband into certain reality shows that I watch.
You have to make him. Sam might notice. You have to. I don't want to say make him, but like it was just one of them things where she would be like, we don't spend. That's how we spend our time together.
Yeah.
Our schedules are so crazy. We sit and watch like.
Yo, rest in peace, Earl Hebner, yo.
We watch P Valley.
R.I.P. to Hebner.
Oh, there you go.
Love After Lockup and stuff like that. Those are our shows. We sit together and we watch them together. We can't.
Love After Lockup.
It's like the only.
I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna check that.
Like the only reality show that I've ever. The only reality show I've ever gotten Micah to watch is like The Challenge, and that's it.
I mean, but that's still something that y'all can do together. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah.
But guys, we're gonna wrap this up because we are way past the 45-minute mark. I gotta get going. We thank you guys for joining us for another edition of Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. Again, if you guys are catching us live right now, you guys can join the group. If you guys catch us live later on, join the Wrestling Talks and Thoughts group. Post up your Wrestling Talks and Thoughts articles. Join in, converse with the group. Also, look us up on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a share. Share it with your wrestling buddies so they can come on the show and join us as we talk Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. Also, we go live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. and every Sunday at 12 p.m. So you guys can join us live. Signing off, I'm your host, Saheem the Dream.
It's the K Champ.
It's your girl, Hollywood K.
And it's the big bad booty.
Daddy.
Glizzy ENT.
I'm out.
I'm
out.
Glizzy. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Right there.
Glizzy.